This video will provide general information about the netbooks for parents or guardians. To begin with, in terms of overall processing power, these netbooks fall somewhere in the continuum between a smartphone and a computer. They can't do as much as what we think of as a computer, but they'll do everything we need them to do in class. In terms of storing information, these netbooks do not have a CD-ROM drive or a DVD drive, and floppy disks just aren't used anymore either. So to store information, we have SD cards. We do have a handful of SD cards that we can offer the students if you can't provide one. We also ask that if you want to, you can use a flash drive, or another source that we're supplying is cloud computing. So anywhere where you have internet access, you can store information on the cloud. So let's talk about what software is on it. To begin with, they're running Windows XP, a little bit older, but it will function just fine for us. They also have OpenOffice, which is free software you can put on any computer. It's basically like Microsoft Office Suite, so it has a comparable program to Word and to Excel and to PowerPoint and some other programs that aren't in Office. We also have some special data collection software. Again, we're licensed so that anyone can load the data collection software in our schools on any computers. We have screen capture software, polling software, the ability to print PDFs, and for virus protection, we've put Kaseya on there this year. We will be using Google Docs for most of the stuff we do, so OpenOffice won't be our primary source for all the teachers. Some teachers may be less than others. One important note is that there's no internet filtering software put on these computers. So students have filtered access whenever they're on a county network. So anywhere in the county, everyone's access gets filtered. But once they're off that network, they're not filtered anymore. So at home, there's no filtering done. What software can be installed? Well, if you have a printer or a mouse or a tablet or something else at home and you need to install some kind of driver software to get it to work, you should. We need to make this netbook as useful as possible, which may mean in a lot of cases installing this kind of software. But remember, when you install the software, I cannot help you troubleshoot it. You're kind of on your own with that when you put it on there, because I can't provide support for all the different printers that are out there and all the different permutations of the software. What cannot be installed on the computers? Well, games. For one, it takes up hard drive space. Another thing is the graphics. These computers just don't run a lot of games, so it's really not advantageous to put them on there at all. Random apps on the internet, you want to be careful because you don't know what you're actually putting on there on the computers themselves. How about viruses? Well, obviously don't put viruses on there, but you get in viruses by sharing computer information with others. So there are a couple ways that can happen. One is just by swapping an SD card. The virus might be on the SD card itself, or through a network or even the internet. So if you're browsing, you have some kind of pop-up that says, you have a virus, run the virus scan now. You probably don't that is the virus itself. So if something like that happens on one of these netbooks, they can bring it in for repair. We use software called Kaseya. So you'll notice that you'll know it's Kaseya, it's a virus prevention software. But if anything happens, bring it in and we'll take a look at the netbook. Here's an example of a bogus virus software. So this pops up, and this isn't part of our software, and it pops up your computer, and you may not know that it's not Kaseya, and you think, oh, this is something wrong. So I click on a button somewhere for recommendations, and it always pops up, and it either takes you to a screen to buy software to take this off your computer, but it is the virus. They're basically holding your computer hostage. Or it might, when you click on something, it'll actually install a virus. So this is one of those things to watch out for, these fake virus software applications that you didn't put on there. Again, we use Kaseya as our virus protection. If your computer is affected, bring it in, and if there are any spare netbooks, we'll swap it out so you'll have something so you can keep working on in class. But you probably will lose all the files because we may end up having to reinstall all the software fresh on the computer. What if it just stops working? Same thing. Bring it to the physics teacher. We'll swap it out if we have a spare, but we'll try to keep you running. The netbook is required in class. If you're a student doesn't have one on a one-to-one basis, we will have a netbook reserved for you in class for class use. The problem you're going to be missing is some of the collaboration that happens outside of class. You'll have to find some other way of accessing that information. Lost and stolen netbooks are your financial responsibility. The county is charging up to $500 to replace a netbook. Teachers have been directed not to make students share their netbooks with other students. Students have been told not to share the netbooks with others and not to leave backpacks unattended because the netbooks are in them. If they're doing something else and they need to leave it someplace, they can always leave it with me. If another teacher in another class asks them not to use the netbook, they've also been told to respect the teacher and the rules of the classroom and not use the netbook. Students are provided an email account. The Google Apps application is actually attached to this email account. For student privacy, the email account has a student initials followed by some random letters and numbers. Now, another nice feature about these accounts is that a student can actually send email just like normal to anyone, but only email that's sent from the domain of student.k12albemarle.org can be received. So as a teacher, if I send them email and my address is k12albemarle.org, not student.k12albemarle.org, that email won't get to the student. It'll just disappear. So it's a nice little safety feature to keep them from being spammed and keep other email from coming at them. Also, we've told students that if you as the parent would like to have copies of their email, although most of it's going to be done just for the sake of collaboration in Google Docs, that's your prerogative and they should share that with you, and they can forward the email to an address if you want to see it. Teachers can collect and check the netbook at any time, so what we're going to do is we collect the netbooks and check them 4 times a year to make sure they're operating properly and make sure all the software is fine and viruses are off of them. If you have any other questions, you can contact your physics teacher for more information about the Netbook project.